If it keeps on raining, levee's gonna break. If it keeps on raining, levee's going to break. And the water's gonna come and have no place to stay.
Hey everybody, John Van Dyke here for New Jersey Exposed. Today is Sunday, April 24th, 2022. Time is 4:39 p.m. Jersey time. Okay, so the story's about well, as far as I know, he's a retired cop, and I triggered him on Facebook. He came after me. What kind of tactic do you think he used to come at me? Well, if you're thinking intimidation, your name calling, you are absolutely right. So let me set the story up how this starts. Now, I'm seeming to think across New Jersey, at least in Monmouth County, there's been a campaign going on about stolen cars and house burglaries, and the way the police are addressing it is to lecture us on Facebook. So this is a posting put out by Middletown Township Police, which is, actually, I'm in Middletown right now. I'm at Stevenson Park in Middletown. It's on the south side of the town. And so it reads as follows. Middletown Township Police Department wants to remind citizens to please lock your vehicles, bring your keys and valuables inside, secure your garage doors no matter the time of the day. We have had several attempts to steal vehicles within the last 24 hours. One of those attempts was successful. However, 2 individuals involved in a local car theft have been apprehended. Please be great neighbors and contact the police department if you see any suspicious activity or suspicious vehicles in your neighborhood. Thank you in advance for helping us keep our community safe. In other words, thank you for helping us do our job that we're paid 6 figures a year to do, and we're having a little problem doing it. Okay, so my response was, okay, so far this past week and pretty much every day, I see your officers parked on the side of the road. Now, I live in a town right next to Middletown, and I have to go through Middletown pretty much every day of the week. So I see the police out there all the time. So I know their habits. And I've been living up in this area for quite some time. So I said, okay, so far this past week, pretty much every day, I see your officers parked on the side of the roads on Route 35, 36, over by Sunnyside Park. I don't know the name of the road. It might be Middletown, Lincroft Road. Watching cars. I always see it when I'm on the parkway, and I go over and I see them down below, parked next to it. Cars go by Sunnyside Park, watching cars go by, doing motor vehicle victimless crime enforcement. And that's right, people. Motor vehicle enforcement are victimless crimes for the most part. It's revenue. The other night, I observed a Middletown Township police car parked on private property shielded by trees at the corner of Thompson and 36 in North Middletown. I was coming home. I was on Route 36 going north, and there's an intersection in Port Monmouth. It's the Thompson Avenue. And right there in the corner is a bus stop, NJ Transit bus stop, and there's a house right behind. Well, this Middletown cop was parked in between the bus stop shelter and the trees on the corner. And I think he was using one of those ghost cars where you don't see the police decal until you shine a light on it. And there he was, sitting there waiting to catch somebody. And I thought to myself, you know, the whole time he's sitting here, he could be patrolling the neighborhood looking for real crime, the type of crime that has a victim. So let me see. What else did I put here? I routinely see them stalking motorists by the Belford Firehouse, Fairview Firehouse, and the Parkway overpass by Sunnyside Park. Maybe it's time you stop with the Facebook lectures and start patrolling the neighborhoods for crimes that have victims and stop doing enforcing crimes with no victims. Every second spent watching cars go by or out generating revenue over victimless crimes is a second loss to patrolling the neighborhoods for crimes that have victims. For 6 figures a year salaries, the taxpayers deserve better. So I got this one response, and it's by a gentleman named Mike Craig. Now I clicked on his Facebook page, and pretty much that's all I got there. Some warrior. There's nothing else. There's no other information about him. Just Mike Craig. All right, so we'll read what he and see what he has to say. He says, hey, Karen, traffic enforcement is part of a cop's job. Without them, idiots like you would abuse traffic laws and risk killing a kid on a bike or grandma walking across the street. you are most likely some pissed off driver who has a few summonses under your belt for driving like a moron, and now it's the cop's fault. Go back to wearing a mask and complaining about our carbon footprint. You're out of your league, snowflake. Well, anybody out there knows me, I'm definitely not a snowflake, and I'm definitely not a Biden supporter. I am a registered independent who voted for Trump. And I don't know how he gets that. He's missing the whole point of it. But there's anger in his voice. How, he's gonna come at me, guns drawn, ready to dump a mag on me. And so the point of my posting is that if we have a problem with cars being stolen and houses being burglarized, and I drive around and I see several police cars parked doing motor vehicle revenue enforcement, that tells me that there's a priority problem. Because I look at these cop cars surveilling on people, riding around with a plate reader. I say, every second they're doing that, it's a second loss to patrolling the neighborhood for crimes that have victims. But see, the deal is, the reason they don't want to do this, because one, it's boring. They have to go up and down the same street how many times in a shift. And the deal with motor vehicle stops is it allows them to stop a car. They can try to escalate it into an arrest. And once they have the arrest, they go on their Facebook page and they post and brag and pat themselves on the shoulder about all the people they arrested. And it's a big PR stunt. That's what motor vehicle stops do. It produces arrests. People going down the road, minding their business. Next thing you know, you got that dog sniffing around, giving false readings, and then the cop gets in your car and violates your rights, and they arrest you, and then you have to hire a lawyer. All this bullshit. In the meanwhile, houses are being broken into. So they drive around, and if they show a presence, that is a deterrent. And a deterrent means there won't be a crime, and that means there won't be any revenue generated. Now, he implies that I got an issue with cops doing motor vehicle stops. I really don't have a problem with them doing that if there's no other pressing issues going on. What I do have a problem with tickets is, why should a town profit off somebody's bad behavior? Because that's, when there's money involved in it, that sets up the shenanigans. So I respond to him, Mike Craig, yes, it is part of their job, meaning doing motor vehicle enforcement. And the town depends on the revenue. The town would go broke and your taxes would go up and your heroes wouldn't make six figures a year if the town couldn't profit off the bad behavior of motorists. As far as your other accusations, don't believe everything the voices in your head tell you. So then I did a little research. I said, what the hell? He obviously lives in the area. So I typed in Middletown Township Police, Officer Michael Craig, just to see if anything would come up. Because it's typical that these cops will use their first and middle name as a profile. And what came up was this right here. So I read it, and it turns out Mr. Michael Craig, he's born October 1968, and he lives in Middletown, New Jersey, and he's a retired New York City police officer. When he retired, he moved to Middletown, and that's the unfortunate thing that's happening in the area that I'm living is the element from New York City, being Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, is all moving over here, and they are bringing their attitudes with them and their problems to go along with it, and it's causing price values of houses go through the ceiling, which is great if you're selling a house, but if you're trying to buy a house or rent an apartment, you're going to go broke because it's almost impossible to do it. So I further went in and looked to see what he was up to, and it turns out he was trying to run for a Board of Education Council member. I guess that didn't work out too well for him. And now he's just a big mouth at the Board of Ed meetings. And he's whining and crying. The reason he was running for the Board of Ed is that he doesn't like all the wasteful spending. He doesn't like it because some teachers don't show up for work. They rather do online education. He thinks it's a waste of money. And but I noticed he never commented on the Middletown Township Police Detective whose misconduct and unlawful arrests of some people, residents in the town, costs the taxpayers of Middletown $611,000, okay? You know where's to be found on that. Crickets, that's all you hear on that. He had nothing to say, but that's wasteful money right there. I don't hear him talking about any other lawsuits that the police department settled because of officer misconduct. Nope, mum's the word. And, you know, he calls me snowflake and all the other things. I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if the snowflakes, you know, the Democrats of Middletown, which we have them, how they would feel about Mr. Craig flapping his jaws, calling them snowflakes and things of that, because they believe a certain way. He's attacking me about green footprint and stuff like that. I don't know where he comes up with that. I mean, I enjoy my car, and I'm not happy about the price of gas, okay? And I have no plans of buying an electric car anytime soon. So anyway, he has responded again. He says, I can go all day with someone like you. It's just not worth the effort. You come on a local police page to bash the very cops that have made Middletown one of the top 100 safest towns in America. Your input to anything in this town or this page is meaningless. Your hatred for cops doesn't come from all the good they do. It comes from you getting pulled over by driving like an idiot, and now you have an axe to grind. See, in your little warped world, it's never your fault. It's always the cop that made you speed, not use your directions, etc., etc. However much of an idiot this town sees you as, just know cops will still show up to your house when summoned and still do the job. They serve and protect all the people, including the uneducated and malcontent liberals like yourself. A cop walks out of his house, leaves his family, and faces danger in the unknown every day. The very reason you are able to sit on your couch with those furry slippers on and spew hatred is because outside your window, cops are protecting you. Well, let's analyze this while I'm at it. Okay, so here's the posting. It's quite lengthy. I bet he was good at writing reports. There it is. Okay, so let's go down as people, if you don't mind me entertaining you. He says he can go all day with someone like me. Well, someone like me, he doesn't know, okay? And I'm not his average, I'm not the average bootlicker out there, okay? It's just not worth the effort. That's his way of saying, you know what? I don't want to argue it because I might lose. You come on a local police page to bash the very cops that made Middletown one of the top 100 safest towns. If they're so safe, then why are cars being stolen and why are houses being broken into? I don't believe that at all. And I'm bashing. Why am I bashing police? Because I'm questioning a policy? I'm not bashing. I never got on and said Chief Weber over in Middletown, who I've met, and it's been cordial with me. I never got on once and called any cop a name. Never said anything about the cops. See, I know what's going on, why they do the revenue enforcement. The town budget depends on it, and pressure is put on the police department to generate the revenue. So if you got a town that expects to get $500,000 in court fines and revenue, and all of a sudden the police only sent $100,000 or maybe no dollars, don't tell me that budget is going to have a problem. There's going to be a shortfall. Okay, never got on there and bashed any cop. I never do that unless the cop is bad, like Jake Pascucci in Long Branch. I will bash him until he's in jail. Okay, but the officer on the road, I don't bash them unless they give me a reason to take aim at them. And I never really had any Middletown cops make me take aim at them. And even when I did that audit over at the Earl Naval Base and the cops came out there and the one was acting kind of stupid, I never got in there and called them any names. It's not, it's not how I operate. This is how this guy operates. See, when they call you names, that means they don't have an argument. So they got to resort to name calling and intimidation to try to scare me away. This is my hatred for cops. Doesn't come from all the good to do. Well, I'm sure the cops out there do some good. I've seen some of it. I've reported on some of it. But my focus is on the bad cops, the ones that hurt people, the ones that kill people. There's just a video came out the other day where a cop chased a black kid down the road. The kid wasn't doing anything unlawful, stopped him and gave a reason, and he put a bullet in the back of the kid's head, not to mention the other story I did. So I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a Middletown detective who violated somebody's rights and cost the taxpayers $611,000, and not one penny of that is coming out of his pocket. I have a problem with that. So this all comes back to that you're not allowed to criticize or take, I don't know if I guess it is criticize. You criticize the policies. I criticize policies. I criticize bad cops. I criticize the policies and the climate that protects them. Okay, you never hear me get on and say, you know what, I hate cops. I hate all cops. You never hear me saying it. I pointed out the bad things to do, and what I've learned, I'm sure some of you out there have learned, that we're not supposed to talk bad about police. We're supposed to sit there and think they're all good. We're supposed to blow smoke up their ass. We're supposed to suck their dick and just put them up on a pedestal and think they're the greatest thing since the second coming of Jesus, you know? So anyway, let's go on. It comes from you getting pulled over for driving like an idiot, and now you have an axe to grind. Well, I don't think I've ever been pulled over for being an idiot. I think the last ticket I got was, I don't know, 6-7 years ago in Red Bank. I rolled through a stop sign, and I made a video about this, and I did talk about it, that I probably caused my problem to get the ticket because I put my First Amendment right face on and started got a little overboard with it, and I did a video about that as to how to handle police stops correctly. To not go on and start implementing your rights unless you're in deep shit, then you got to do it. So, in some respects, I caused that problem, and I've even talked to the chief of police in Red Bank, the former chief, McConnell, and I did say to him in that time we were bullshitting outside headquarters, and I said, it was my fault. But it didn't matter. I made enough money off the video. It paid for the ticket, and case sera. So I have 0 points on my license, and prior to that ticket, I really can't remember the last time I got a ticket. I don't drive fast. I don't speed. I use my blinkers. I'm like every other person out there. I'm not, Mr. Perfect like this guy here is. Sometimes you forget something and you get caught or whatever, but he's talking through his ass. He doesn't even know who I am, and he thinks he does know who I am. Okay, let's continue on here. See, in your little warped world, it's never your fault. It's always the cop that made you speed, not use your directions, et. I don't know how we got onto all this, okay? I don't blame a cop for anything. I take responsibility for everything I do because I chose to do it, either intentionally or through the error of my thinking. So we went from me criticizing or taking exception to and pointing out that I see Middletown police cars always on the side of the road doing revenue enforcement, Title 39 motor vehicle stuff on a daily basis on Route 35 and Route 36. I see them every day on that road, parked on the side, watching traffic go by. And my point of that was less time spending on the side of the road and go patrol the neighborhoods. If we got a problem with stolen cars and it seems reasonable to assess that we need to focus on the neighborhoods, not the cars transiting through the town, because the way I see it, these cars that they go after are coming through the town to go to another town, and it's a cash cow highway. It never ends. They're out there all the time, always getting tickets. So to me, it's like the war on drugs. It's been going on for years, and it never stops. Same thing with the ticketing. We keep doing the tickets and the tickets and the tickets, and it never stops, does it? It's just an endless parade of revenue coming in. So, but he took that and accusing me of that I don't take responsibility. So that's nonsense. However, much of an idiot this town sees you as, you just know cops will still show up to your house when summoned and still do the job. Well, their job is to come over when I call them. If somebody is violating the law, then I will call them and I will expect them to show up, because my taxes, not now, but at some point in time when I lived in Middletown, by the way, I lived in Middletown for 12 years, I think it is, close to 12 years, my taxes went and paid for those police. So when I call them, I expect them to be there. And if they're not going to be there, then there's going to be a problem. Because I can't take matters into my own hands. If somebody shows up my door acting stupid and I take a baseball bat and bash their heads in, or take a gun and blow them away, I get hauled off to jail. So this is a stupid analogy. I get this all the time. They serve and protect all people, including the uneducated and malcontent liberals like yourself. Well, first of all, Mr. Craig, they do not protect. They enforce laws. The job of the police is to investigate crimes, investigate crimes, make arrests, gather evidence, and assist the prosecution. Their job is to enforce laws, protect the government, and generate revenue for the police. The protecting, as you call it, is a byproduct of enforcing laws, okay? And how many times did any cop out there ever protect you? They always show up after the fact and they take a report. All right, let's continue with this person. A cop walks out of his house, leaves his family, and faces danger and unknown every day. Okay, so this is a narcissistic statement right there. That statement right there is designed to solicit a certain type of response. And the response, I'm sure you're all figuring it out right now, is one of sympathy. I'm supposed to feel sorry for him. I'm supposed to feel guilty because this officer made a decision to do this. This is like the garbage man coming online and complaining that he smells like garbage every night. Well, you know what my response to that is? I didn't tell them to be a cop. Don't lay your guilt trip bullshit on me, okay? It doesn't work. Leaves his family, faces danger and unknown every day. Well, we all face danger and unknown every day. Every day that we get in a car, we face danger. We could get killed in a car. Okay, every day we go to work, we could get killed, get hurt. There's a story just came out the other day. A man over in South Bronx, I guess he worked in some kind of concrete factory or something, and a concrete slab fell over and crushed him. So there's danger every day in everybody's life. And a lot of stories I hear and read about officers getting hurt is a result of an officer making a stupid decision. A cop walks out of his house. The very reason you're able to sit on your couch with those furry slippers on and spew hatred is because outside your window, cops are protecting you. Oh, well, first of all, I don't own furry slippers. I like that pair. I don't have any slippers. Furry slippers would be nice in the wintertime. Outside my window, let's see, I sit on a couch, okay. Yeah, I sit on a couch, watch TV. Let's see, spew hatred. I don't spew hatred, I spew the truth. I question, I hold police accountable, I hold public officials accountable. I just happen to focus on police because the police are hurting people and doing things and violating people's rights and costing taxpayers a lot of money. And he talks about how, you know, their job is so risky, but nobody wants to talk about the 1,000+ citizens that are killed every year by officers. And I have two stories, one of which I'm going to be doing soon, and I just put one out the other day, about 2 citizens who have died unnecessarily at the hands of a cop. But they don't want to talk about that. And I just say, you know, there was another Facebook page, Palm Bay Police down in Florida. So they've really been dragging this one out. It's a memorial service for 2 officers that were killed 11 years ago. Now, let me just say, I don't want to see any officer get killed, okay? A life is a life. A human being's a human being. And whether they're a police officer or not, they don't deserve to be killed. Anyway, so they put this thing on. It's a whole big thing going on, and I posted on there, what about the 1,000 people killed each year by police? Do their lives not matter? That's been my new thing. Not all lives matter. And of course, a couple of the bootleggers come in there and they go after me, and I said, well, you know, sir, to one of the bootleggers, I said, since those 2 officers died 11 years ago, over 11,000 citizens have been killed by the police. Think about that. In 11 years, over 11,000, it's probably 15,000, because it's not at 11,000, it's over 11,000. One year it peaked up around 1,500 people. So, but they don't want to talk about that. You're not supposed to mention it because not all lives matters, and this guy is a good example of that. Anyway, so that's pretty much what he says. So he's accusing me of being a liberal, and I hate police. And what else? I wear furry slippers and I sit on the couch, and outside my window there's a police officer protecting and serving me, and you know, the whole propaganda bullshit, okay? And so it's just funny, you know, I go on there and I find out who he is, and I put the link on there, and in his response he did not deny it, so obviously it is him. Michael Craig. I'll put the link to his Facebook page on there if anybody wants to go on there and comment on him. I'll put the link to this Facebook page that's been going on. And see, this is why nothing's ever going to get slow or never going to get fixed, because the minute a citizen such as myself and many of you out there who rise up and question the actions and the policies of police officers or policing, not the individual officer, but the policing policies and actions, you are yelled at and attacked and called names and everything else by the bootlickers and the blue dick suckers. And and you got this guy here who's a former NYPD. I noticed he didn't talk about how much money the NYPD pays out every year in civil lawsuit settlements. But you know what? He's entitled to his opinion, and let him call me names. As I always say, when you call somebody names, you define who you are, not the person you are speaking of. I'm John Van Dyke for New Jersey Exposed. Bootlickers, retired cops, angry retired cops. What are you gonna do? I guess we just gotta keep at it and keep putting the message out there as long as we can. Until next time, people.
And the water's gonna come and I have no place to stay.